Hey, cool. Forgot to mute my mic during the BRB. Not the BRB, the pre-stream stuff. Forgot to mute my mic during the BRB. Neat. But good morning, folks. Hope you've all had a good Christmas, a good Hanukkah, and now a good Kwanzaa. Today, we are going to do something a little different. I've pretty much finished all of my stream projects for today, right? For today, for the year. And so I figured what we can do is do a 2023 year in review. How would that sound? It's probably not going to be anything too exciting, as you could expect from a Guinea stream. There's not exactly high production values here. So at the most, what we'll be doing is just going through and be like, hey, remember this game, hey, remember that game. But I think it'd be a fun thing to do, you know? It has been an entire year already. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it went way too fast. And I've basically got no format for this. Just doing a quick tech check over here. Comcast really hates my tablet, so already I'm having to like turn off the Wi-Fi, turn the Wi-Fi back on, just for it to remember that, oh yeah, that device does work. So, the easiest way to do this, I think, would be to go into display capture and videos all the way down, through the genres, through the themes. Basically, the last, 3 years of streaming life on here? Would be 4 years, except that first year I was too shy and not confident enough to actually put... Where's the capture? No capture. See display capture here. Display capture should be caption display. Swap on out. Okay, it is capturing. Cool. So from 2020, 2021, and then here's where Fennec comes into the picture at the tail end of 2022. At the start of tail end of 2021, start of 2022. He moves on over, then 2022, we have a fabulous time. 2023, where do you begin? October 2022 to March 2023. Taking us at the tail end of last year. XCOM, super fun. Modern XCOM, so much not. Now that was cool what I was doing here, mixing up different things, alternating back and forth. Not so much of that this year. Chimera Squad, a lot more excellent people gave it credit for. Terror from the Deep, rough, got through it, struggled and suffered through it, but the ending is so... It's like a House of Horrors, the ending to Terror from the Deep. Anyway, that's last year. I'm kind of surprised that this year started with the birthday stream on the 10th. Technically, wait, was that streamed on the 11th or highlighted on the 11th? Either way, that's really surprising to me because that tells me that I started this year with 9 to 10 days that weren't streamed. I was actually enjoying myself and enjoying the boyfriend time. Right, hold on. I was going to show you something that my tablet was glitching up on, but it fixed itself sadly. So first stream of the year was a birthday stream. Somehow. And this year began with big ambitions, right? Because streaming was basically a stopgap therapeutic thing. And I figured it has gone on long enough. 2023, year of the rabbit. Have my wonderful boyfriend here to support me. We are going to do all the things that needed doing the previous years. But too much depression, too much executive dysfunction had to be pushed through to get to this point, and already savvy viewers might realize where this falls apart. So start of the year with goals, Momotaro Dengeki to represent things from the past, and Terra Invicta to represent things for the future. Terra Invicta was okay, like it's early access, right? But it wasn't exactly what I was after. It has a lot of promise insofar as you start as like a secret society, but it's really your map painting. And you take over some territory, and you take over a continent, and you use that influence to build up the economics and the technologies, and then you peel back, and you're building stations in low Earth orbit, you're building resources extraction on the moon, to Mars, to Venus, and then you're peeling out into the wider solar system, and there's aliens to fight that are attacking Earth, and you could be one of several factions. The potential is really cool, but I don't know. It felt to me like just another complex map painting one where the focus is entirely on economics. Like, a test that I do for games like this is, can I start as a small, tiny country and do as well as a big one? And the answer is no. At least for this point in the early access. Basically, all you want is more territory and more economics. And as long as you're pushing the GDP, population and GDP were basically all you needed. And if you had those two things, you had everything else. And that wasn't really interesting to me, sorry. But then the first proper streams of the year were Like a Dragon 7, Like a Dragon. Now that we're doing the name shift from Yakuza to Like a Dragon. And oh my goodness. But these ones have me impressed. What a way to start the year. I still had my hair long then. Wearing my psychological security sunglasses. I was super happy to get these too. Because I've always wanted round glasses. But they also add a kind of psychological barrier between me and the stream. But super fun Like a Dragon, and I cannot wait until Infinite Wealth comes out next year. Sadly, that is going to be the exact same time as Fennec's top surgery. And how rude would it be to have him recovering, his fluid sac filling up and getting emptying, his butt need wiping, and I'm over here streaming Infinite Wealth. So, that's not gonna be the case. But this was so fun, man. Kasuga Ichiban is such a good follow-up to Kiryu, and I'm sure that Kiryu is a fantastic protagonist. I've played so many Kiryu games now, but Kiryu is a bit too stoic for me. And if I have to be honest, he's a bit of a dum-dum Kiryu. I mean, Kasuga and Kiryu are both, but they're idiots in different ways. Kasuga Ichiban is an idiot in the sense that he doesn't have a proper education and grew up on the streets, and basically his entire moral code was built up by video games, whereas Kiryu is like, I don't want my surrogate daughter being hurt, so instead of being a good influence in her life, I'm going to abandon her and give her to a clearly unstable, idol manager. And then everyone's just gonna dogpile on her to give up on yourself and just live her dreams through you. Sorry, but I'm Team Ichiban all the way. Ichiban, literally Ichiban. So Like a Dragon, fantastic, excellent, amazing charm. The combat is a lot more honest. And that takes us all the way into February. And that's when we finished Hungry Hearts Diner Neo, wasn't it? Which absolutely made me cry. Like straight up, not even lying. Was that the last for Hungry Hearts Diner Neo? It was. So much in Hungry Hearts Diner Neo, I'm not even kidding. The only trouble with it is it was pretty buggy. Like, I would go out and play on my phone, and it's not a huge deal because you can still play around it, but I like to make my restaurant where by the end, after I finish everything else, I like to put people to sit together based on who they are connected in the story, how they're connected to each other in the story. But I can't do that if I've got some Oji-san sitting in Mabo's lap because the game bugged out and now 2 or 3 people are sharing a seat, and for some of them they can't interact, and for some of them you could still interact but for one of them, while some phantom Oji-san sits behind them on the same chair. But otherwise, Neo is peak Hungry Hearts Diner. But these two really define the early half of the year. The winter coming into spring. Like a Dragon, fantastic, and then Touhou Mystia's Izakaya, which I did play either in December. I think I started in December the previous year, like late in, but it doesn't show on the Steam recap because Steam recap only shows from the start of January to December 14th. So if you have things you want to play, like all of your idle games and your naughty games, you play them all in the second half of December, and no one's ever going to know. But these were adorable. I absolutely adore Touhou Mystia's Izakaya. But because I did play in like late December, early January, I did have some foreknowledge coming into it. Wasn't a totally blind playthrough like we usually do. But that's alright, because I hadn't finished the game by then. I'd only gone through a significant part of the main game. And so on stream, apart from some, say, tech issues at the start, we were able to do pretty well at it. Pick up more recipes, pick up more ingredients, do a lot better than the casual off-stream play, and then actually touching the DLC. I still think that starting with DLC 2 was the best thing we could have done. DLC 1 is okay, but it's pretty plain. But you start with DLC 2, and then you go backwards to 1, and then you start finishing up things. I think that the order I did it was main game, DLC 2, DLC 1 but didn't finish it, DLC 3, and then circled back around to actually finish DLC 1, because it turns out there's a hidden boss that you cannot actually do until you do the concert, and I had no idea. But that was fantastic, because the boss for DLC 1 is actually a reflection of the final boss of the main game, if not literally, then thematically. So it works even better to save that boss for last. But it's not last anymore because we have DLC 4 that just released this was it August? And then the English translation just came out like last week. And then DLC 5 has been announced, the final one for Touhou Mystia's Izakaya. And it's actually, I was half right. I was like, wow, there's all these hints to Makai. I would love to see Makai for the final DLC. And you do go to Makai, but also to the moon. You get to go to the Lunar Empire and Makai for the final DLC. So that's two things we're looking forward to for next year. Yakuza Infinite Wealth, and then I'll start DLC 4 next year, and then DLC 5 when that comes out. So that's two things. More Like a Dragon, more Ichiban, more Touhou Mystia's Izakaya. Then at the start of Lent, we had Ishin, which I was really excited and looking forward to. But I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be one of those guys that the PS4 game comes out and it plays just like a PS4 game, and I'm so disappointed that all we got is a 2014 PS4 game. I think they spoiled me with Kiwami 1 and especially Kiwami 2. Because those two were like PS2 games, and Kiwami especially shows the first one. But they showed me the potential right. I thought it would get the Kiwami treatment, or like Kiwami 2 especially, is by far, despite the original game just being like an early PS2 Yakuza game, is honestly one of the best in the series because of how many changes it brings into it. Whereas this feels more like the 2014 game, just directly ported over, which is good for those of us who haven't been able to play the 2014 game. But you kind of just expect more, and it's not like they didn't change it up. They do change it up a little bit. Like, they change all the characters, no, not all the characters, but a significant amount of characters around. Like, instead of Baba, you have, what's his name? The cute Chinese guy from Like a Dragon, which kind of changes the read for certain scenes. It was fun, I guess. I'm glad to have played it. But I wouldn't rank it as highly as other Yakuzas of the era, which is kind of a shame. Maybe I expected too much. Like, if I went into it knowing that I was only getting, for the most part, a straight port of the 2014 PS4, then I wouldn't have the, oh wow, is this going to be as big a transformation as Kiwami 2 expectation. 10 months ago. And look, I still got my long hair there. When was this? March. We're in March now. I've still got my long hair. Haven't cut it off yet. Still in the other room. 199. Look at that. I've actually broken down below the 200 at this point. The streaming era for me was a lot of... Oh, wait. Quick break in internet. Streaming era for me was during some very depressed years and through the height of pandemic. I can't even say the height of pandemic anymore because, one, it's never gone away, and two, the numbers now are worse than they've ever been because nobody's masking up, nobody's got their shots. At least I've got my boosters, so few people can claim that these days. Where was I going with that? Something about the long hair. Oh, the weight, that's right. Ended up ballooning to almost the 220s in like 2020 or 2019, and struggled so far and so long to get it down below 200. Christmas has bumped it back up to 197 as the encumbrance meter down there, sorry Foxy, shows. But we did get to like the 180s this year. So once holidays are behind us, It's gonna be 180s again, then back down to 170s. What was this Toho stream? That's DLC 1, isn't it? No. Bazaar cooking competition. We haven't finished the bazaar cooking competition yet. So where did we leave off on Tokyo, Toho, Mystia Isekai the last time? Parting with the Oni in former hell, then take a break for Ishin, then come back to former hell to finish the bazaar cooking competition. On March 6th, and then the day after. Then DLC 1. So yeah, I see the main game, DLC 2, and then DLC 1. But I hadn't realized that there's more to DLC 1 than expected. Like in DLC 2, finishing DLC 2 in Toho Mystia's Isekai does not require that you finish the main game to include the concert at the end. You can do it, but nothing requires it, and so you could finish the bazaar cooking competition and thus the entire DLC before even finishing the main game if you wanted. DLC 1 has a coherent and complete story from start to finish, and so you would be forgiven to think that you had finished the DLC, but if you had actually finished the base game and concert first, then there is more. But I don't know that yet. The first Guinea versus Childhood for the year. And I don't think it was the only. Was Mario this year or last year? I feel like it was... Was that last year, actually? Because we got Chronological Shelf 9 coming up pretty soon, and it's already March. March, April... So I guess Mario was last year then. But that was a fun side diversion. And because we did Ishin just like a week ago, then going from Bakumatsu Samurai to a little bit earlier, and establishing our clan was kind of fun. And there's my first bot ban for the day. And then Head-Ass Code. I do adore these Abime games. We had played, what was it? Birth Me Code a couple years prior. And so I was looking forward to this. And especially since, what was it, Side for God is going to be coming out soon. Soon, right? It's not out yet, I don't think, is it? It had a demo. There's no price yet. The demo is still up and free. The Side for God is on wishlist. 2024. Soon Decide for God. So at this point, we have played 2 out of 3 of the Abime games. Now going from Birth Me Code to Head-Ass Code kinda gave me some expectations, because the games do get more complex as the series goes on. Like Birth Me Code, if you're just going into the series, feels like a pretty standard 999 alike. It's not. It is so much more than that, but that's an easy way to shorthand it. It's got puzzles you can do, it's got involved story branching and whatnot. Whereas this, being functionally a remake of the first game, because I think this one was like reworked on and retouched up a few times, is a lot more basic, but it also fulfills a narrative purpose. There's not a lot that you as a player can do. I thought it was cool at first, that wow, these guys do all the puzzles for themselves automatically, but it'd kind of be fun if you could do it yourself too. But the whole point is that you're not playing, Simon is. And so you're basically watching his story, and that means he does the puzzles. Wait a minute. I can't quite tell, but my hair looks shorter. I think I have cut it by this point. I've given it the old chop chop chop. When did that start? See, I'm learning more things about myself going through this now. Yeah, it's shorter. We got the chop 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 here, it's not draping all the way down my shoulders. Touhou Mystia... Yeah, see? Touhou Mystia DLC 1, long flowing hair. Sword of the Samurai. Little baby guinea. Sword of the Samurai, long flowing hair. So basically then, it is from Head-Ass Code that the hair gets short. But Head-Ass Code, excellent first game for the Bime series, inspires me to get back into Birth Me Code to replay it, not just for the refresher, but because there are things I have not completed. And I'm pretty sure there have been some updates and changes since we last played that, way back when. And from DLC 2 to DLC 1 to DLC 3, which means more friends to make in Touhou Mystia's Izakaya. Getting into March now, late March. This is pretty fun. You have like the yokai on the cemetery side, and the Taoist immortals on the other. And a very big, impressive festival with a couple of options you could play on. That was a nice DLC. And then it turns out we have learned that there was one final thing to do in DLC 1. And that, as far as we knew then, was full Touhou Mystia Izakaya completion, taking from January, was it February? To March 23rd. So we are very fully into spring by this point, and then starting Oddworld's Abe's Odyssey, which I've always wanted to do, like when I was growing up. There's always such mystique around the Odyssey games. Like I would see it in gaming magazines, on Extended Play or whatever they were calling it, G4 TV or whatever else. But I knew nothing about it. And like, if you're a kid and you're seeing screenshots or 2-second clips on TV, you're not getting a whole lot of information. But hey, it turns out, it's an alright cinematic platformer. And a frustrating one. I had no qualms going through the what was it? We used a walkthrough to find secrets. And that's all we use the walkthroughs for. How's my hair at this point? Everything else was struggling to get through it our own selves. Green! Okay. I thought the highlight was broken, but it isn't. Look at how short that hair is! And this one was kind of special, because March 30th was Fennec and I's anniversary. 4 hours, because I want to be a short stream, to just finish up. There were a couple of challenges I wanted to complete. And I thought it'd be cute to squeeze in a short little something before meeting him for our anniversary. And I was actually rushing at the end. We managed to finish this exactly on the wire for me to rush out the door and go meet him. And then I got so angry at him because, well, I was wrapping everything up to finish as fast as I can and then run my way downtown because I hadn't had my bike yet. Oh no, he was 10 minutes late or so coming out of work. Because, you know, he works. He's got an actual job. He's got responsibilities. And sometimes he likes to shop at his store coming out. I think for this one of the things we did was going back. I think there's a couple of things we did for this one. One of them must have been the other component of this festival here, because at the end you get 2 challenges you can do. And one is really awesome and the other is alright. And so we went ahead, we finished a counterpart option, I think. But the main big thing we did is redoing one of the challenging boss fights. And just managed to. And then came Dredge. Eldritch horror fishing game that everybody adores. Gave it 1 playthrough, doing it blind. And then a second playthrough, basically just treating it as an absolutely normal fishing game. Trying to ignore as much of the Eldritch plot as we could, and just going area to fish. And you actually can do that. All you gotta do is play far enough along to get your trawling net, right? Was it a net? No, the crane, the hook for dredging. Once you get that, then you could skip the entire game. You haven't got to get any of the artifacts, you could leave everything well enough alone, and you could just go zone to zone to zone. Fish everything up, toss the stuff you don't need into your box. And that was actually really fun to do it that way. And now there's a few DLCs out that I haven't touched yet. Hobbs Barrow was short, but it was short in a good way. I was impressed with Hobbs Barrow. Because Hobbs Barrow is basically just an adventure game, right? Classic LucasArts Sierra style adventure game. And that is what makes the shortness so compelling. Because the only reason that some of those classic 80s, 90s adventure games can be as long as they are is padding. And this is basically all meat, no fat. And so for this one to be so short, I'm appreciative of it. Paranormal Sight a bit meatier though, and Paranormal Sight was such a good game. The atmosphere, the music, the direction. It's a very linear game. It's not exactly a choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing with branching paths. It is a glorified VN, but it's such a good one. I absolutely cannot wait to see more of Paranormal Sight. I want to see more of those cases. Area, what was his name? Surumi? The 2 cops? Punchy hates that we like to ship them as gays. It was like, but one is a father. He's got an ex-wife and a daughter that he's trying to maintain a positive relationship with. And it's like, yeah, plenty of gay guys are like that. They have their rough relationship, their family, and then they find this energetic young Kohai, and they hit it off, and he gives him life. And I might have been projecting my own relationship into that. But... oh, you know what? Because the older bear cop has his connections to the paranormal unit, does that mean we're going to see more of them then, Surumi and Eryo, if we get more Paranormal Sight stories? Golden Idol, pretty fun. We were able to logic it out within one stream, only going 7.5 hours, pretty standard. But there's DLCs, and I think there's going to be a follow-up next year too. So those are also things I want to jump into, the DLC and the follow-up. Because that was fun stuff. A lot of folks compare it to The Return of the Obra Dinn. And insofar as you see a scene, and you try to logic out who did what, it kind of is, but it's got its own charm, its own style to it. And I'm also pretty pleased that within one day we were able to do the last couple of mysteries as effectively as we were, because it starts off whole blank. Whole blank, and you're trying to figure out where everybody was on the map, going back and forth, and the more you figure out, the more it informs everything else. That's pretty fun. I had fun with Golden Idol. And so picking up the DLC and the follow-up, so it's gonna be a matter of time. Pentiment also moved me pretty well. But the real revelation for it is that as wide open and as many options as there are, it's actually pretty linear. You play through the story, and you have so many choices you could take with both the main characters, but it ends up going to the same place anyway. As I played through, I was like, alright, for the next playthrough, we're gonna see what happens if I do this, if I do that. But the more I learned, the more that I learned that you really can't affect things as much as you can. You can make big and small changes throughout Curacao and Tassing, but somebody is still going to die for the murders. The Abbey is still going to fall in hard times. The Peasants' Rebellion is going to make its way to Tassing. And that did not go well in real life either, so you can't really be too surprised at the outcome. But I kind of feel like that makes an important narrative point, though. You're only one man, and then later on one girl. And you can make connections in your life. And as you play through the games, you definitely do make meaningful connections with the people in Tassing and Curacao. And you could affect their lives in big and small ways. But the world is so much bigger than one or two artists. And so no matter what you do, you really are only one cog in the giant machine that is fate and history. And I kinda get that. It's frustrating and you wish that you could do so much more. But how can you? Is it not enough to be able to help out those you care about? A kind of somber reflection on Pentiment on the tail end of 2023. I've just had my anniversary, like 31st of March. I haven't forgotten, and now it's April 27th. Just had my anniversary a month ago, and now we're reflecting on this. Wrapped it up with a cool down of World of Horror. Kind of a refresher, as this has been a while since I played it. And then soon after, the main game comes out too. This is before it officially left early access. Not with many big changes. But version 1.0 either way. When was that? October 19th. So we beat them to the punch. Everybody else playing it after it left early access, but no, not us. And then began the Zeldas. Because Tears of the Kingdom was going to release Friday. Coming up that soon. We had the good fortune, the good timing to get a couple of days of Link's Awakening in. Not a couple of days, only one day, just Comcast is an ass and had to break it in two. And I still maintain that OG Link's Awakening is the best. Everyone goes for the DX version, and even the Switch remake is built off the DX version. But I think OG is the definitive Link's Awakening. You missed out on the color dungeon, you missed out on the photographs, but the atmosphere is so much better. The hints you get in dungeons, in Link's Awakening OG, it's stuff like, if I wanted to make a cup of tea, right? It would say something like, unite the broth of the tea with the simmering flames. You know, the hints themselves have atmosphere. Whereas the DX version, if I wanted to make tea, it would say, boil the tea in hot water! You know, just direct, to the point. It's got no flavor, just like my tea 3 kettles in. But I will say, But I will forever adore the Switch version, because when I was streaming the Switch version is when Fennec came back into my life. We had been friends for a while, and then something happened in his life for him to disappear for a bit. And so that's one that I'll look fondly and nostalgically on, even if it's built off the inferior DX version. But we had fun with this one, even if I messed up in a big way and accidentally did the Song of the Windfish. I learned it in Maybe Village and not the Animal Village. You have 2 opportunities to learn it, or 2 locations you can learn it. Because Mara's not going anywhere, you can learn it anytime you want. If you learn it in Maybe Village, oh well, it's a pretty nice song. But if you learn it in the Animal Village, you have all the animals around you, watching, equally entranced by her song, as she teaches you and as you play it back with her and play together as a duet. You know, it's just a much cooler set piece. And I blew it! But we're getting pretty close to the halfway point of the year, aren't we? Because Tears of the Kingdom released on May 12th, just a month away from the halfway point of the year. We spent the entire first day up in the sky in that tutorial area. A solid 7 hours, and we did not touch ground. Until, yeah, 6 hours and 51 minutes still up in the sky, hair's getting even shorter, clipped it even more. I'm moving, why is the camera not? Am I just sitting in place there? There's later, there's Hordian head padding. Did I just go back up to get a screenshot at this point? I think I must have. Don't tell me it bug out or froze. 'Cause that's... I'm looking at... Did it? It couldn't have, because that's like 625 to 650. All look at the same thing. I'm making faces. Did that freeze up on me? Did that actually? Like... Did the capture actually lock at the same place? Because it's moving there, it's moving there. Capture taken. There's a screenshot, just did that for the screenshot. Move stuff around. Close out of one thing. I think I might have actually broken the capture. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I'm completely ignorant. You can hear all that going on in the background, and... But it's only been the tutorial? Gimme. Gimme. At least in later ones. See, that is why I get paranoid and do tech checks all the time. Because you try to do something different and you mess it up. Ooh. No one said anything. There were people in and out of chat that wasn't completely empty that day. But Tears of the Kingdom was fun times. May 12th started. May 13th, what were we doing? That would have been exploring the surface for the first time. Doing some shrines, exploring around. Seeing what's around, what we want to do. I went to Kakariko. Because the way they explain things in the game is, oh, you can go any place you want. Except not really. Everyone also says, go to Hebron, go to Hebron, go to Hebron. Hebra, go to Hebra, go to Hebra, go to Hebra, go see the Rito first, go to Hebra. And you do want to do that, because if you go that way, you get a few introductory quests for like the petroglyphs on the ground. You get to do a little tutorial quest in the depths with Robbie. You go out towards Hebra, you see Hestu, and with Hestu you could upgrade your capacity for swords, bows, and shields. You go into Hebra, and you meet the newspaper place that gives you the side quests all around the world. You meet the traveling troupe, who's missing their musicians, and that is how you unlock Great Fairies to upgrade your armor. And if you don't go to Hebra first, frustratingly, then you can't upgrade your armor. You can't upgrade your capacity for stuff. Wide open world. Except, go this place first. And I did not. We went so long without being able to upgrade stuff. Without upgrading armor or capacity. Because how they describe things is the Rito have a blizzard. The Gerudo have a sandstorm. Nothing's going on at the Goron City. And that kind of worries us. And the Zora have massive pollution sludging up their area. People are getting sick. And Lurelin village has been taken over by pirates and people have been displaced. So I thought, alright, triage. We have to rescue Lurelin village from the pirates, liberate it, so people can move back into their homes. Plus, they're a sea people, I'm a sea people, you know, gotta look out for each other. And the Zora dying to pollution sounds a whole lot more pressing than Gerudo in a sandstorm. They built their society around that, they could live with it. Than Rito in a blizzard. Unfortunate, but they could shuffle that out. And nothing much going on in the Goron City. And so we had to go to the hardest area of the game first. It's frustrating that we missed out on inventory upgrades and armor upgrades, but otherwise I'm pretty pleased with starting off in the southeast region. What's this? May 15th? Spending more time in Lurelin. The state has a handle on things well enough. Lurelin Village Rendezvous. So the first time we went to Lurelin, and it turned out that Guinea, you fool. Lurelin Village is taken over by tough tier enemies, black bokoblins, and whatever tier of Lizalfos they had, and big giant moblins. It was not meant to be the first place you go to. Glacial pace while avoiding the glacial area, because I didn't want to do the place everybody else said to go to. You can't make me follow the main plot. Alright, so there are many glacial areas. I had fun with this stuff. Except this was the 17th of May. And the next stream after is the 18th. Fennec and I must have met after stream that day. Look at that! That was Black Lizalfos. Black bokoblins. I must have done it because I got on the ship. If you could, like, try to kite them out. I took heavy advantage of the bokoblin mask, I think. Hot bokoblin, twink, link. Luring a few guys away. Slashing them out. Trying to whittle down their numbers and going in for the kill. If you could beat them all in shore, and you can get onto the ship, then you have pretty good chances. Well, look at this, I'm smiling, my hair is as short as ever. Help the Zora out. And the worst boss, Moktorok. So we've successfully liberated Lurelin Village. We've defeated the worst boss in the game. Then that's what I was broken up with. He was already telling me, like, a couple weeks back that he doesn't think he loves me the same way I love him. But we mostly put it off. And didn't really talk about it. There could have been time to fix things up. But needless to say, Zelda streams from that point on were a lot more somber. I'm still having fun with it. It's a fun game. Finally make our way to Hebra. Took us long enough. No, not on Hebra yet, because that is Hebra. That's a different storm than I was thinking of. I think it was this Saturday stream. Where Fennec had popped up in chat during a work break to check in on me. And I kind of felt a bit deadened seeing him in chat. I mean, easy way to check. There's chat right here on the side. Maybe it wasn't this one then, might have been the one before. Since that was right after. Not a single chat that day. Wow. Wow, guys. Lurelin Restoration. It's kind of a shame, because I was hoping to convoy out lots and lots of stuff on like wagons and things, but that is so frustrating to do. Not just for collecting the wood, but to cart it on horse all the way across from one wooded area down. There could be lightning. If lightning strikes, it destroys all of your stuff. And so I was like, alright, there's a lightning storm right now. I'll just rest in the spot right over here. And then continue my journey when the storm clears. You know what resting does? Resting resets the world. And by reset the world, that also includes your constructions. And by constructions, that means all those piles of wood you meticulously attached to a cart and a horse and carted halfway across the world. Unfinished business where now? Kakariko has eternal unfinished business because the entire game, Paya's like, well, Zelda said not to let you through, despite all the mounting evidence that Zelda doesn't, that's not Zelda, Zelda's a dragon of the sky. Even after you learn that, you can't tell anyone anything. Hey, there's Chillin' Chum. Hey, Chillin' Chum. Immediate issues in Hyrule. So that must have meant just the Zora and the Rito problems. Swedish guy, Carver, I'm spying. I'm looking for where Fennec pops in. Because it wasn't during Gerudo, and it turns out, whoops, it's not just a sandstorm. They buried the lead. Oh, Gerudo's got a sandstorm, they said, mentioning nothing about all the zombies that were attacking too. They might have wanted to lead with that there were mushrooms dropping re-deads everywhere. And so far that gives us, like, what, 3 out of 4 of the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom? Honestly, they had various levels of impressibility. Like, the sky, not the sky, like the wind temple and the water temple were fairly open areas. But they had a hint of dungeon in there. And the Gerudo temple was more of a classic dungeon, if just, you know, more vertical and whatnot. And by the time we get to the Goron area, that is the closest they have yet to a classic Zelda dungeon with annoying puzzles and separate rooms. So there is a potential, I still say, that they should make a third one. A third capstone Breath of the Wild after Tears of the Kingdom. Secret Saturday stream again? I was doing a lot of weekend streams for this, I don't normally do. But 1, it's a new Zelda. And 2's, it's a big game, and I wanted to do as much as I could. And then the Gorons, 29th of May. After starting on the 12th of May, so 17 days later. I mean, they said nothing was going on with the Gorons. All they had said was that there's nothing going on, there's no volcano, and so the Gorons sounded like the least major threat. Spelunking through the subterranean depths. See, I think the depths would be a fantastic system for full proper dungeons. The depths are the exact same size as the overworld, right? It's a mirror copy of it. But they could fit all that space in. Imagine if they took the depths and they turned it into really big dungeon areas, like with the Goron dungeon. But you have space to put 8 actual full-size dungeons. You could have the overworld, a dungeon entrance, and the underworld, just like in classic Zeldas, with huge, not just set pieces, but huge, expansive dungeons in 3 dimensions. So, Nintendo says that they pretty much told the story they want to tell for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There's nothing else they can do. But there's still potential. End of Tears of the Kingdom. Ganon has been destroyed body and soul. And all the different races from the different provinces swear to support Zelda and Hyrule. We could have a Hyrule triumphant. We've had one post-apocalyptic Hyrule and a second Hyrule in crisis, shattered villages everywhere. Give us a Hyrule in the Breath of the Wild style that isn't destroyed. One where all those scattered destroyed villages are alive with people and NPCs and shops and a few side quests. Give us one where the Hylian institution is functioning, with the different regions providing core provincial support. And they could put in some, like, political intrigues. Like, well, they've already defeated Ganon, what then? I don't know, Vati? Or maybe some other new villain? You know, I want to see a thriving Hyrule that is facing a non-Ganon threat in this style. And it feels like the only way I'm going to get that is if I win a major lottery jackpot and assemble a team of amateur modders to transform the game on my own dime, and that's never going to happen. Then came Pride Month, which was also bittersweet. Because that was going to be our first Pride together. And I get broken up with Year of the Rabbit and right before Pride. Basically a hate crime. In, and that's with weekend streams. Weekend streams, and we're still 3 weeks into Tears of the Kingdom. And I got my mech. After saying, wow, imagine if there was a mech the entire game, now we got a mech. Which is funny, I was watching Gromfaloon play, right? And he was, I guess, sticking closer to the plot than I was, because by the time we got to this point, we've already figured out Zelda's a fake. We got the 5th sage just by exploring. And then we get to the end game, and it's like, hey, you guys should find that 5th sage. Wait, oh, you've done that already. Surprise Sunday stream? Coming to the end of Breath of the Wild now. Breath of the Wild 2. I'm starting to feel like an apex predator getting all the side stuff done with. Getting all those pictures, doing boats. And look how cute Link looks with these shorts. These shorts, plus the climbing gear top. No sleeve. One major task remains. What did I have left? Oh, right. And then Comcast. I knew they were going to do that. I knew that Comcast was going to be a dick. And just completely gut the stream for a while. During a major revelation, crawling through Hyrule Castle for the first time, finding the fake Zelda, and then facing Ganon, and then red bitrate, dropping all the frames, going and going and going and going and going until it dies. Fuck you, Comcast. But that's fine, because the only thing that was left was redoing that fight. And then, like I said, we've learned about the fake Zelda already, we got the 5th stage already. So even after beating the Phantom Ganon, basically all that was left to do meet some old friends, then down we go, fighting Ganon directly. Really not all that much left. I tried to pad it out with other things, but there was nothing else to do but finish the game. And I am a softie. Because look at how ridiculous this is, right? You see my face, I am holding back tears. It is so goofy. But I'm a sucker for that stuff, alright. Right, I'm not holding the button, I'm trying to pat it out longer. Go on, Genny, just do it, just hit the button! You're heartbroken, let them have their happiness. As ridiculous as it is to survive falling into water like that, from all the way in the stratosphere. It's silly, but I'm smiling right now because it's still sweet. We don't want our happy endings. And look at that, right? They say goodbye to the ghosts of the Zonai as they go away. And then the Sheikah, the Goron, the Gerudo, the Rito, the Zora all swear their allegiance and support to Zelda and Hyrule. That is potential. They have a third game to show us this unified Hyrule. I want to see how a unified Hyrule and Link tackle a Vati-sized threat or any other kind of threat, you know? They spend 2 games fixing Hyrule, kicking Ganon's butt, unifying these disparate political but joint entities. They need one more. I still say they need one more. What was after that? Just house building? I don't know. But that was it for that then. June 9, starting on May 12th, so almost an entire solid month, because weekends were included. If I wasn't doing weekend streams, it would have been a solid month of Tears of the Kingdom. Then Phasmophobia with Fennec and his brother was pretty fun, because his brother has a certain way of playing Phasmophobia. He's definitely a lot louder than we are. Then Mask of the Rose came out, and that was a game that I actually submitted to receive a free copy on, and they gave me one. So that was pretty nice. But they just had to delay it enough. It was going to be a Valentine's game. And how sweet would it have been? Especially because I know he's the first guy you meet, or the second guy you meet, and so that makes him like an obvious guy to push you toward. But I do kind of like Archie. But instead of playing it as a gay guy happy in his gay relationship, playing a guy that reminded him of his boyfriend, I had to play as a gay guy unhappy in his breakup, pining after the guy who reminded him of his ex. But there was lots of good stuff in Mask of the Rose. A dating game that doesn't just accommodate different types of romantic and sexual attraction. You could play it platonic, you can play it asexual, you could play it hetero-ace if you want to. But the characters also have their own desires. You might want to have a lush sexual relationship with somebody who doesn't want sex and simply wants your friendship. You might be attracted to someone whose heart belongs to somebody else, and maybe you might be able to sway them into casual something, but you won't be able to claim their heart. And that's pretty cool, I like that. It's the difference between, say, a game where as a player, the other characters are merely a buffet menu for you. In a style like this, they've actually got their agency. And I think that makes it so much more fulfilling and rich than a game in which you're the player, you pick your target, you pursue that target, you say all the right options, you give the right gifts, and hooray you bang at the end. No. Boring. You might not be able to get the person of your desire in Mask of the Rose, either because what you two want are incompatible, or because they're just not an option for you. And that is just as compelling a story that makes the world so much richer. And in between we played, what was it, Underhand? A mobile game from way back in the day that was inspired by the then upcoming Cultist Simulator, but it's so much better, I think. I played Cultist Simulator on stream, and everybody who's come in had no clue what was going on. If I tried to explain it, I might as well have been speaking Palauan to them. Whereas Underhand is a lot more concise, it's a lot more focused. It's a shame that it was a university project, and everybody involved has since split up and began to live their own lives. Because Underhand was so good. So much more focus in Cultist Simulator, and none of the negative vibes of attaching it to Alexis Kennedy. Last stream of Pride. Pride encompassing majorly Tears of the Kingdom and Mask of the Rose. And then Let's School. It turns out that Let's School I absolutely adored. And as far as I'm concerned, we made the best school possible with Cavi Academy. That was a release version. They didn't have the clubs yet. There's been a few updates since, and I think they finally just added the clubs. And so you could like start a basketball club, I think. And as headmaster, try to make your basketball club as lush and successful as it can be. But I haven't gotten around to that. I did say, oh yeah, as the new updates come out, I'm definitely gonna go back and do it, but there's so many games. I'm definitely gonna play more Let's School on my own time. But there's so many games out there that I'm not sure if, I mean, I could always come back and... Because I have my school. We could always go back to that launch school and then add new things to it. 6 Ages was great. I still feel so embarrassed that when I played 6 Ages 1. I had so much going on in my life with dad dying and whatnot that I kind of had zero patience. And for 6 Ages 1, when frustrating things would happen, I would kind of rage a bit. And it's frustrating to look back on and realize, like, yeah, I was just bratty about that. But 6 Ages 2 so good. I do still think that maybe 6 Ages 1 went too quickly, because basically as soon as Baron is born, the story is done. And it's kind of linear in the sense that if Baron doesn't get to bang Redalda, you've lost the game. You can't even carry the game over from 6 Ages 1 to 6 Ages 2, unless you get their happy ending. Which is kind of incongruent in a way, because it is a very broad survive as your little Bronze Age clan in Glorantha, in their own metaphysical reality. And it's very open in that regard, but if you mess up this one thing, then sucks to be you. 6 Ages 2 is a lot more open in that regard. You do start from the marriage of Baron and Redalda. You have to funnel in from there. But the endgame is a lot more open. You can bring so many characters into the endgame and survive to the end in so many ways. Which I guess fits that the theme for this game is survival, doing whatever you can to make it through the dark. And since they give you the option to do a short game or a long game, the long game really makes me appreciate the brevity of 6 Ages 1. It kinda does. But you don't have to play 6 Ages 2 with the long game. You could play it with a short game, and it still doesn't feel as quick and sudden as 6 Ages 1 was. So I gotta say 6 Ages 2, phenomenal. It's basically more of the same from 6 Ages 1 and King of Dragon Pass, but it's got its own refinements. Whether you play long or short, you don't feel like you're gonna be rushed. You can get hit by strings of bad luck, which is really, really annoying. I've had lots of playthroughs on my own time just doing some achievement hunting. The crazy thing is, if I started on a harder difficulty, the RNG went pretty smooth for me. But if I was playing on an easier difficulty, because finishing on hard does not give you the achievement for finishing on normal or easy, I would just get pummeled back to back to back. I had the worst RNG and the worst luck, worst experiences playing on easy. But it was so fun. Then it's a casual Phasmo thing between days. Paleo Pines I dipped into. Whiskey Survivor and Interstellar Sentinel. This was basically, I had no idea what to do. I give Paleo Pines a look because my ex-boyfriend adores Paracerephalus. Even his second tattoo was a party Cerelephus, he calls it, because it's got a party hat on. It was okay. People describe it as like Stardew with dinosaurs. It's really not. The dinosaurs are the main draw, but everything else around is pretty shallow. Whisker Survivor is pretty fun, looking forward to when the full game that it's based on comes out. Interstellar Sentinel, pretty fun. For like a quick 1 hour, maybe 2 hour experience of a shoot 'em up. There's definitely more depth than I was able to explore on stream, but it doesn't vibe with me enough. It's a great game, just not for me. And then began the entire rest of the year, because by that point, it's October. It was October then too, but it's October now, and the movie is going to come out. That was like, what, the 26th or so? And so, obviously, Fennec and I were going to watch it together. Is my cup leaking? No, I just spilled somewhere. And so on top of it being his favorite series that he adored, and the movie coming out, I wanted to do my homework. So that when I watched the movie, I could enjoy it with more context with him. And in a way, so I can bond with him in absentia. And it turned out, FNAF 1 was actually pretty fun. These games are pretty rough in places, either balance-wise or because they are just small games made by one guy in too quick a time span. But FNAF 1 was pretty fun, got through it pretty quickly, figuring out that all you gotta do is camera light, camera light, camera light. And so we're able to squeeze in FNAF 2 as well, and it turned out FNAF 2 is even better. I adore FNAF 2 so much. But it's really, really difficult. I never got to finish Night 6. Because all you really have to do, flashlight to Foxy, music box for the puppet, and bounce back and forth in those two, and every single time an animatronic enters a room, mask on, mask on, mask on, flashlight, 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 puppet, 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 mask on, flashlight, 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 puppet, 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 and it's really tense, because you're basically juggling these two things. If you don't flash Foxy enough, you die. If you don't get the puppet in time, you die. And so all the masking on for the other animatronics, they're barriers. They're trying to tackle you and play defense. And if you get hit with 3 or 4 animatronics in a row, somebody's gonna run out. Either Foxy's gonna run out or the puppet's going to run out. And that's why I still haven't finished FNAF 2, Night 6 yet. Still haven't even finished the game, it's that tense. 3 is basically just babysitting Peepaw. If you get him on cam, great, you can lure him around. If you lose him, then Peepaw's in events again, Peepaw's in the kitchen. And there's places you can't really look, but I rather like this style. You're basically trying to lure one guy into one safe space, but he can get away from you easily. And if you're incautious, you gotta make sure that your other meters are good too, your cameras, your ventilation. So it's frantic, but there's a lot that as a player you can do to take care of yourself. You're in control, despite all the things out of your control. And I think that's an element that they probably lose in later FNAFs. Four was also pretty fun, and that was Fennec's favorite, so I was really looking forward to playing that one. Somehow this is a louder version. When it first came out, it was so much quieter. I had trouble hearing things, and this was still the louder version between FNAF 4. But it was also a good game. And look, people come in defense of Help Wanteds and Security Breach, saying, well, the earlier FNAFs didn't give you a story, we were still puzzling around and debating the lore. But you play games like FNAF 4, right? And you get the story. Every time you finish a night, you get these little cutscenes that tells you what's going on in the life of this crying child. You play the earlier FNAFs, you have Phone Guy telling you, oh yeah, and be careful about Foxy, doesn't like the cameras or whatnot, you know? You have things that are told and explained while still leaving a lot of mystery to debate over. And that is something that the later FNAFs definitely miss. I like to describe the Security Breach series, basically Help Wanted 1, Security Breach, Ruin, and Help Wanted 2, as a lot of foundation but no house. Because you look at the Help Wanteds, and the point of the Help Wanteds is to try to tie in Glitchtrap as an entity to the Mimic in Security Breach. So there's a lot of next time. This is gonna make a whole lot more sense next time. It's setting up a lot of stuff, but there's no actual explanation into the nature of this Glitchtrap thing. There's no explanation as to the Mimic. You know, you play through the early FNAFs, you're pretty much told who the animatronics are, and for a few of them, there's a few mysteries like Golden Freddy and whatnot, and the true nature of these animatronics in the first place. Circus Baby. They don't tell you, hey, Afton's daughter got sucked into the robot, but you can piece it out from what's being told to you. No, daughter Elizabeth, don't go near that one. But daddy, I want to! You know? It gives you enough to figure it out. And then the whole Springtrap thing, everyone knows who Springtrap is because they figured that out in the game. Security Breach series, you don't know jack shit about the Mimic. I thought the Mimic was Afton surviving yet another fire. Because they're setting up Glitchtrap, Mimic, Glitchtrap. But as players, you don't get any of that. It's all set up. It's all trying to set up something, but 3 games in, and we haven't really had the payoff. We haven't even got to that part yet. We're still on FNAF 4, which was fun. And it's pretty funny, because this is a fun couple of games, and this kind of gives you, in 3, and then the kids lived happily ever after because the murderer got burned in his spring-locked suit, and then here's a little final goodbye to the series. And this all here makes a very good story. It's concise, it is proper, and then Scott said, no, I hate this, you guys weren't reading the story right, I'm gonna make Sister Location, and Sister Location is the worst! I know it has its fans, I've had those fans in chat, but as far as I'm concerned, Sister Location is not it cheap. It has the story is kind of alright, like the thing about Elizabeth and Circus Baby is pretty easy to parse, but the gameplay sucks so much! It is nothing more than a collection of Wii Shovelware Carnival games where you wave your little Wii remoted things. Except there's no checkpoints, so if you mess up with the circus breakers, you gotta go all the way through from the elevators across the slope below our gallery, then do it again. If you want to play the really cool FNAF ending, you gotta go from the elevator, run through the Funtime Foxy Gallery because nobody's there anymore, disassemble Baby, except you have to take it slow because the code is randomized each time and you have to wait for them to tell you the code, run back through Funtime Foxy but to the right, and then die again, and start from the beginning. So I don't understand how Scott said that the brilliance of FNAF 4 and the terminal ending of 3 aren't good enough. I have to make Sister Location to make a better story, because that wasn't it. Now I gotta pee, it's only been an hour and a half, but this does look like it's gonna be a short stream since we're already in October. So give me a second. I did not align that capture well. Oh well. You know, another funny thing is that I had only intended. I thought that maybe we'll do one or two before the movie came out. And that was all the way in October 10, because I didn't realize exactly how short these games were. I thought, alright, maybe one or two before the movie releases, maybe three. And then it turned out that we had time for the entire classic series before the movie came out. October 24, basically right before the movie. And then FNAF movie afterwards. So yeah, highlights of the classic FNAF series is definitely 2 and 6 for me. 6 was so good right from the start. I was so phenomenally happy playing through this. I mean, look at that. Look at that smile on my face. Just looking at all this stuff. Dancing along to the music. Building my perfect pizzeria. I wish we had more of 6. Though, as I'm looking through this, FNAF really did bring out the most backseating out of anything I've ever streamed. It has its fans, people are super excited for it. But I think folks struggle to realize that maybe I want to struggle through the game. Like, I know there's gonna be secret stuff, I know there's gonna be 100% completion stuff, but I just want to struggle, man. And struggling through was some of the most fun I had with these games. Oh man, I forgot that during Sister Location, and I think the second day of Pizzeria Simulator, man, that must have been some mostly rough times for me, because I was already... '13th, 15th, breakup was there. So that was already so long after the breakup, and man, the summer was really harsh on me. So many panicky moments, paranoid moments, agitation moments. I was lashing out at like laundry and things. And by the time of Sister Location at FNAF 6, I was still feeling really, really rough. At some point, I have a period of numbness. And to be honest, I'm still suffering. I don't know what clicked to make it a dull suffer, but it is still there. But like... You see how at some point I switched from my round sunglasses to just my normal glasses? But then Sister Location... It is back to the rounds because I was feeling so low at that point that I knew that I'd be tearing up, and I was. There were points when I had like tears coming down my face, and it wasn't because of the strength of the plot, Scott. I am sorry. We didn't get to finish Security Breach, Pizzeria Simulator that day, but we got pretty good progress. By the time we finished up, all we were missing was the, what is it, the liability ending, the blacklist ending, and the golden ending. We saw plenty of it. We got to beat it, which means Halloween did not have to be cancelled. And that was a different game with the Halloween cancel. And so that's the last stream we did before seeing the FNAF movie. Wanted to do 1 and 2 before the movie, ended up doing the entire classic series of at least the main numbered games. And even squeezed in some Chica in Space, since that's one of Scott's troll games, FNAF the movie, the game, but it's secretly Chica in Space. Ruin I wanted to adore, because from the start, Ruin plays like a kind of Alien Isolation, but FNAF. And especially since it starts you off. Isn't it hilarious that the music video in the beginning mutes the VOD? But it basically starts you off in Freddy. And I thought, oh my goodness, how cool is that? Am I actually going to play as an animatronic? There is potential there. But sadly, no. You don't actually play as Freddy. You play as a little child inside of Freddy. Which is okay, since the game starts off with this really cool Alien Isolation light, but you're a child in a pizzeria trying to evade all these animatronics. But the back end feels so rough. Like, I have read that this game was delayed for a bit and they struggled to make it. But it really could have benefited from just cutting it in half. As much as I would have loved more of the open world Alien Isolation FNAF, they kind of ran out of things to do with it, and it really, really shows. That's why the puzzles in the latter half of Security Breach are kind of bad and take you out of the way, and there's so much more padding. And it's really obnoxious how even the parts and services stuff, if it says to press the nose to open the head, and you press the nose before they finish saying you press the nose, you die. If they say press the nose, but then you press empty air all the way here, you die. Because basically it's down to like which parts of the screen have been identified as what to do, haven't triggered yet. It's just so much padding at the end. Like the whole thing where when you get to the 6 AM hour, there's no save points. That's really obnoxious because they put some really hard things there and there's no purpose to that. It doesn't make it more stressful, it just makes it eat more of your time. So Security Breach was really, really frustrating because it starts off so good, but then ends so disrespectful. But then at least Ruin comes around and it does cut the game in half. It's not the big wide open sandbox, sadly, but it does keep the tension. So I guess they just needed more focus, and Ruin is definitely more focus. And then Ultimate Custom Night obviously isn't like a full game, right? When Pizzeria Sim was finished, Scott was like, alright gang, do you want a full Pizzeria Sim? Or do you want a custom night for FNAF 6. And everyone said, give us a custom night. And so this is more of a bonus add-on thing. It's good. It's a nice product. But I do get frustrated by how so much of it has no concern for balance. It's a very put all these animatronics into a shotgun shell, blast it at the screen. Scott's gonna say it's impossible, but the players are stubborn and they're going to try until they find some way to make 50-20 possible. I'm not gonna make 50-20 possible. What all did we manage to do? Did we at least finish all the challenges? We at least finished all the challenges. And that is good enough in my book. Because some of those were rough. And to do it all again, but with all the animatronics at level 20. Man. There's already so many animatronics that for these challenges it's like, okay, this guy's annoying, but we don't have this one, so I could use a trick that would isolate this one and use it for that one instead. I know tricks exist to nullify like half these guys. But that is going to be such a rough thing to learn. I don't have the motivation for that. And so having finished all the FNAFs, old and new, we gave FNAF World a try. And what the heck? It turns out that FNAF World is actually one of the best games that Scott has ever made. And right before the Hellscape, that is sister location too. Like, look at this. Look how fun this is. It is a feast for the sensations. It is a buffet for the eyes. It is such a good game. I truly, truly wish that Scott would pick up FNAF World again. I think his original intent was like one unifying game that he could update a lot and all the FNAF games bleed back into. And if there's new animatronics, he could update it again. But then he must have dropped it because that is an impossible Sisyphean task. But it wouldn't be unreasonable to have sequels to FNAF World that incorporate FNAF games that have come out between releases. That'd be a lot easier to make than one game that gets updated periodically forevermore. Because FNAF World's so good, man. He's missing out on potential. Then this must be Thanksgiving. Because that was Peppino Holiday. Split into two because Comcast is a bitch. And what was I doing? Did I go meet Fennec somewhere or were we playing games that afternoon? Either way. Peppino Thanksgiving kind of lost its charm after the first one. The more FNAF World. Which was really excellent. And by FNAF World, I also meant that troll game. The Halloween edition FNAF World. Oh man, that was a triple kill day. Comcast killed the first one, then OBS crashing killed the second. Completing FNAF World Hard Mode. We got so far though, I'm surprised by this. We actually mastered Chica's Magical Rainbow pretty well. Naturally, it's frustrating and hard to get to. Hard to get through. But actually managed to do it. The butterflies are of course annoying. The eyeballs part is really tough. I had to learn that one's ways. Is this where I get it? Well, it's not sub 3 minutes. But do I at least make it to the end for this one? Make it to the end, make it to the end! Ah, not yet! That's after getting everybody. What's the time? Was it 3 minutes? 2 minutes 30? 3 minutes 30? Because I feel like this is too slow anyway. Look at these pro Chica moves. And then make it to the end, 347. That must have been the last guy then, because after that I got everybody. Come on, Guinea, show us a party. No, not good enough yet. Because there's full party there. 1 minute, 2 minute. Expertly over the logs. Oh, come on, Guinea, so close to the end. It's only 2 minutes 10. Two minutes 22, 23, 24, 24, and done. Look at that excitement. For Chip. Okay, then that makes everybody. I want to click the party button. Don't take so long, me. Yeah, full roster. But wasn't able to beat the final guy. Everything else easy. Except for that rainbow. Three-minute timer to kill this thing as fast as you can. Other guides also recommend the pizza wall or the frettles, but I had zero luck getting through all of her little mini rainbows. The cycle must have been off, and look at that, even then the pizzas weren't doing anything. The fourth wall's a good one. Apparently Buzzsaw's a good one. So I might just have to level everybody up to 100 or so. But Chica's Magic Rainbow remains uncompleted. This is like,
I mean, this works.
This is like a near constant attack too.
So I think if nothing else, this is informing what my next strategy is going to be.
It doesn't. Sorry, Past Guinea. You know, I really had not intended this entire back half of the year, a whole chronological shelf from October to present, FNAF, FNAF, FNAF. That's just the way it turned out. Like I said, this was only supposed to be homework before the movie, but by that point, it's been the entire classic series. It's been the newest game. Might as well do everything else too, you know? FNAF Road taken care of, Help Wanted taken care of. Playing Help Wanted at least made some of the bad decisions in Security Breach make sense. Like that awful, terrible parts and services mechanic is basically a downgraded version of the parts and services mechanic in Help Wanted, which is one of the highlights of the game. The parts and services in Help Wanted is phenomenal. And so I actually did quite enjoy Help Wanted. Some of the remakes of the classic games are pretty fun. Some of the minigames, like parts and services, were really nice. Well, there were some very annoying parts, like everything Plush Babies is just terrible. Panic. Showing me Reddit posts. But overall, Help Wanted turned out being a lot more fun than I expected. Now, it did come out before Security Breach, so Steel Wool was still hooked on find the audio logs, collect the audio logs. But then we took a small break from all these FNAFs to play Hungry Hearts Diner Memories that just came out. And it is more Hungry Hearts, and I do adore Gygax games. But did they have to release, on the year I was broken up with from the man I adore more than anything, a game about being an old lady, reminiscing about the old happiness that she had with her husband, who she will never be able to see again, except in her death when she's joining soon. But it's Hungry Hearts, so it brought tears to my eyes. It had characters that I adored, and I do adore cooking and making foods and connections in these games. So that was solid. Bunny Graveyard had zero expectations. My only real complaint is that it's too dark for me to see. Otherwise, it's a pretty fun one. It's got lots of style, it's got lots of charm. I can't wait for the full release to come out. I think that's also going to be next year. So between Toho Mystia Izakaya's DLCs, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Bunny Graveyard full game, that's already a lot to fill the plate next year. And oh yeah, this break was because I was a week that Fennec was visiting his brother and also his mom. So I couldn't use his VR. And then he gets back and I get his VR, finish Hope Wanted, finish the Dreadbear. Which did have some fun minigames, but it is Help Wanted 1 era. And so there is a lot of frustrations. Giving everybody epileptic seizures by having to spam the flashlight button on and off, on and off, on and off, so I could find those plush babies without them getting to me first. But my goodness, Help Wanted 2 actually took everything that they did in Help Wanted 1 and made it better. There's a few things that I missed from Help Wanted 1. Like, I think that the main hub in Help Wanted 1 is nicer, and Help Wanted 1 actually has an introductory video to take you into the game, whereas Help Wanted 2 just drops you in. I like that it doesn't have the audio logs anymore. I like that all in all, the minigames are more fun, and even things like the Scrap Baby are more enjoyable. And the ending. The ending sequence. Let's see. Like I said, I'm a fan of Skyward Sword, so this was amazing for me. So all in all, it's a big improvement over Help Wanted 1. I enjoyed it. I just think that it could use a bit more narrative scaffolding. Which they could have had if they had simply kept Vanessa's voice lines in. I have no idea how this puzzle works, if there's an order to it, but it got it done anyway. Vanessa had voice lines in Help Wanted 2 that wouldn't fully explain the game, but would have given it some narrative flow, and for whatever reason they got rid of it. That simple inclusion would have made this from a fun game to a really good one. That's my opinion. And all throughout, we were going back to Extra Power, Star Resistance, a bit of Giant Fist in there, and those Extra Power games were as good as always, but man am I rusty. And then what a way to end the year. But by getting True Ending for Pizzeria Simulator. This time around I gave up on just keeping my ears peeled and trying to survive with the ventilation, the silent running fan alone. And it turned out I actually got the strategy for the Audio Lure to work. Pathetically ended up missing 2 That is her death face. That is her kill face. She went straight from phase 1 to phase 3. Phase 1, phase 3, phase 1, phase 3. And gets me killed. Twice. But at least it's not a requirement for getting true end. You just have to have them in your pizzeria, regardless of how they get in there. And so we managed to get all the animatronics. And lots of game overs later. Shall we watch this again? You got this, Guinea. Finally got your pickles. We got the pickles. The human ear flow. The human ear flow. Ding jobs are. Come on, I saw ending.
Who somehow found it some you are to receive connection.
I will make you
This means what?
a gift.
If
Now we can do what we were created to do and be complete.
what's
I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth. If you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells.
such a good ending, man. As far as I'm concerned, from 1 to 6 might have been rough because it is just one guy making all these games on his own. He doesn't pace himself. He takes the Reddit too seriously. He lets it get to him, and he pushes himself way too hard into burnout. But my goodness, what a way to end the classic series, FNAF 6. Phenomenal. Nail on the coffin. And what a way to end the year of streaming. And an entire back end of the year. 3 whole months from October 10th to December 22nd, October to November, November to December, so October, November, December. A full back-to-back FNAFs. Didn't plan it out to be that way. Ended up being that way. And I'm kind of glad for going through them, not just because I love Fennec with all my heart, and so it's a way of getting closer to him, I feel, in spirit. But also just discovering that with the exception of Sister Location, these games can be pretty fun. I'm likely not going to become the lorehead who pores over every single detail, but I will have fun watching like Mark and Matt with him, and popping by the Reddit once in a while to troll about. Because it turns out these are fun. And so I'm pretty chuffed for having gone through these. And partook in the thing that brought him so much joy too, because it is also a big draw for me. And so there goes the entirety of 2023. Began with a dream, and that dream was to stream even less. Because I wanted to get real life stuff done. And that dream was shattered so early on. There were fewer streams here and there, but that was only because either depression took its root, especially in the late summer, early autumn, or we started going to the gym, and because I was still walking predominantly everywhere, any gym day would mean that too much of my time was taken. An hour to walk into town, 3 hours at gym, lunch, an hour walk back home. So, all in all, this year's stream goal floundered because the breakup of May 18th just put a giant wrench into everything. So what are we going to expect then from 2024? No longer Year of the Rabbit, so I can't claim any motivation in that regard. It's not a case of Year of the Rabbit, this is my year, I'm gonna do all the things I want to do. And no longer going to be, I've got my amazing boyfriend at my side, I can do anything that I want to do. So what's next year's goal going to be? What are the stream goals for 2024 going to be? Well, stream-wise, like I said, there's a few exciting things out there. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is going to be coming out. Do intend on streaming DLCs 4 that just came out in English for Touhou Missy's Izakaya. And DLC 5 when that comes out and gets translated for English. If the Bunny Graveyard gets its full release, then definitely going to be jumping on that train. There were also other games that I've been tossing onto the wishlist. The wishlist isn't exactly things that I absolutely want to play. It's also a lot of, oh, that looks interesting, let me add this for later to look at it later, right? Like, there's a few things in here. There's some amazing stuff, like a Highland song and whatnot. But there's also, I'm basically using it as a glorified bookmark thing. Like, I just want to be single, looks incredible, but slay the princess. You kind of expect what there is to it, and so... you know how that's gonna play out. I'm sure it's fun. But like Man Who Erased His Name, I'm not super excited for, but it's a game. So just bookmarking through, right? But while we have Terra Invicta here, another one of a similar thread that I kind of bookmarked is this riddle here that promises to be like a whole world strategy game. Could I open it? And of course, when they promise that you could play the whole world, I have one prevailing question. Like, it's also doing, it seems, the Terra Invicta thing where you could spread out. I don't know how much of the gameplay is going to involve that, because it is just early access and whatnot. But my first important question for a strategy game that promises the entire globe is, can you play Palau? Can you play a smaller country, either on the ocean or any place else, and thrive as this tiny polity? Or is it also going to be just any other game where it promises the world, but really you want the giant population, you want the giant GDP, and if you aren't blobbing out, then you aren't winning? And I looked, and it turned out that they don't have the entire world playable yet. It's on their roadmap. And there's a lot they want to add into it eventually. I do want to at least give it a couple hours look to see, is this the white whale of the global strategy game that allows you to play at any granularity that I'm after? But where is it? Where is it even? City destruction, no-fly zones, new political parties. "195 recognized countries would be by March 1st. That is their goalpost for 195 recognized countries. So if I were to give this game a try and see, can you play as Palau? Can you play as a smaller country and not get absolutely steamrolled over like in most other strategy games? if I were to give it a peak for that purpose, then my purpose would not even exist until March 1st at the earliest. So this is going to have to be on the maybe pile, sadly, despite all these other really fun things they want to add into it. But there's also, I think next year, my stream goal to stream less is probably going to be a lot more apparent. I probably might actually succeed with that goal next year. Since for one, it's not until the end of January, but the year is going to start with 3 weeks of helping Fennec through top surgery recovery. That's gonna be him right over there, unable to lift his arms higher than here, and barely able to even scratch himself. And so I get to be Nurse Vince. And of course can't stream forever. Started streaming because it had its own therapeutic purpose. But you know, gotta move on with other stuff. And so I was actually trying this year to get in with a very nice unionized bus job. It's not the most glamorous, it's not teaching, but I kinda gave up on the teaching thing when... You know how it is when you lose your greatest support. Well, let's face it, the bus company here, not just union, but pays better than the teaching would anyway, so it might not be the life goal, but it is an alright for now goal. And because of my sister's position, it's kind of got that easier in sort of thing. That's a sad reality of life. Most often you get into something good because you know somebody already, and in this case the stars align for that. Except, for that particular time I put in the application and the website said resume optional. That was the one time that the manager was like, well, this time I wanted to see the full curriculum vitae for bus drivers. I was like, but you never asked for that for bus drivers, why now? But by that point, end of year was coming up, holiday was coming up. They could have had a couple of months on me before I start doing the surgery recovery team stuff. But with that coming up, there's no point applying now, going through the interview now, training up now, and then ghosting for an entire month. So that'll be something that I jump back into next year, once the recovery stuff is done, and there's a bit more free time. Build that capital back up and whatnot. So basically, that is the entire year. Went way too fast. Especially given how things occurred in it. So it's kind of a somber year. There was plenty of fun times in it. Zeldas were amazing. All those little adventure games were amazing. There were some actual great new releases like Let's School and Six Ages 2. And then getting through the entirety of FNAF. The entirety of FNAF. The only ones we haven't touched, sorry Moxie, are like a couple of troll games and side games, right? Because we even played Chica in Space 3, but not Chica in Space 2. We played FNAF World in the Halloween edition. Furry's Rage. That's a lot of FNAF. And I guess it's safe to say that with the newest Help Wanted 2 out of the picture, there's not going to be any new FNAFs for a while. So regardless of whether I have a lot of stream time next year, or if the stream times are mostly for days off and weekends, we have our break from FNAF. 3 solid months and it's gone, it's done. 3 whole months, and ended with as nice a capstone as you could possibly get. So I guess that's all there is to this year in review then. I went through the chronological shelves. Brief comments on all the highlights. A bit more than brief for those that deserve bigger comment. For the most part, plenty of bangers this year. I think for me, the only real disappointment that was streamed was probably Paleo Pines. I didn't look too much into it. You know, saw it on my Discovery queue. Figured dinosaurs are cool. Fennec enjoys Paracerophalus. And if everyone is going to describe this as Stardew Valley but dinosaurs, I can give that a look. I like Stardew. But it really is so shallow. And worse. No glasses. No glasses at all in character creation or any of the shops. But luckily, you can meme on that. Because it turns out that you could set the, what is it? No, come back. Where am I? You could set the scale resolution from pretty to look at to all the way rock bottom to simulate being unable to look with glasses. So at least it gave us some memes. And the no glasses graphics kind of grew on you after a while. It's like playing an N64 game. But yeah, that's the year. So I think that I'm gonna call it there then, if the entire point of today's stream was review year. Year has been reviewed, and check it. Didn't comment on it, but this little present that Fennec got me for Christmas, this little glass chicken. It's cute. So I guess that's gonna be it, folks. Brief little 2-hour stream, looking through what have we accomplished this year, and the whys to the why nots. And that really will be the last stream for the year. Maybe we'll start off the new year playing DLC 4 for Touhou Mystic Izakaya, because that's in English, that's not already. That's a start. And it is kind of a shame that the surgery recovery begins basically just as Infinite Wealth comes out, because I really, really want to play Infinite Wealth. The Yakuza games tend to put in some social commentary, and so I'm kind of eager to see how the social commentary fits with Infinite Wealth, because that one takes place in Hawaii. And I always adore when a Japanese game touches upon the Pacific Islands in some way, because we have that shared history. It's not just that they occupied a lot of us during World War II. Like in my own background, Palau was occupied, the Northern Marianas are occupied. You know, that's directly within my own family history on several branches of it. But they're also neighbors. They're neighbors, they're tourists, and so I like to see how they do with us. Like, look, even an Ace Attorney, right? Even an Ace Attorney, you have like Saipan Man, Captain Saipan, all the way from the lovely tropical island of Saipan. I heart Saipan on this t-shirt. Like, wow, even an Ace Attorney, we have a little representation there. Like, that's not a lot, that's just a t-shirt guy for the tourism. But it's always funny to see it. So like whenever Japanese games involve like tropical islands or whatnot, be it fictitious or real ones, I always have my eye looking out for critical analysis and literary analysis. So you could imagine that when Animal Crossing New Horizon came out, I was especially keen on that. But anyway, that's gonna be it then. You guys have a good, happy new year. Let me see who we have to raid with my party of 1. I think we'll hop on over to Ink Foxy in a Boxy, continuing his playthrough of Day Shift at Freddy's. Cause why not? We ended this leg of the year with FNAF, so our last raid of the year will also be FNAF. How does that sound? So you guys have a good rest of your year. Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. I'll see you folks around. It'll still be Year of the Rabbit up until the Lunar New Year fully begins. There's still some chance to turn this around, but don't look forward to that. See you guys back in January. Take care.